Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the blessings from the universe. And I welcome all of you subscribers and all of you folks who come and visit. I value your opinion and I value your spiritual welfare. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will find your own path. Now, the title of this, I kept thinking over the last couple of days, rattlesnakes kept coming into my brain. And I was thinking about rattlesnake weed that we have growing down here in South Georgia and Florida. It's all around rattlesnake weed. And, there's these little tubers, and one thing led to another. And I was thinking, there's so many obstacles in spiritual warfare and so many things in the universe, actually, and there are a lot of frightened people out there. And so one of the things I try to do is to try to, yeah, there's a lot of nasties out there. And so it's like, well, how do I kind of give an example or whatever? So the idea of rattlesnakes in the energy field came to me, and I was like, that's a quirky. And then I sort of got it as I was typing it in tonight. It came to me yesterday. And tonight, as I was typing it in, and we just got done doing a live stream with Brian on Milky Way Messengers, he added an S. But we were talking about the Schumann resonance, which is spiking a little bit, but not bad. My ears are ringing a little strange, but it's not overbearing or anything. So I realized there are a lot of people who are, how do I deal with this? I'm feeling funky. I'm doing, a lot of us are. But now let me give you one of the things that is most important from a shaman's point of view. And I'm a shaman in training, as all of us are, because we're on this spiritual path. So I was listening to an old story in my head, if you will. Grandfather was telling me a story, and then he was like, the children sitting around was like, well, grandfather, what about the rattlesnake? We're afraid of the rattlesnake. And grandfather looked at the young ones and said, but rattlesnake is afraid of you. But grandfather, if rattlesnake bites us, we could die. And grandfather said, yes, but doesn't rattlesnake always warn you? So, but the little ones asked, but grandfather, we're afraid to go into the tall grass. And grandfather said, the tall grass is nothing to be afraid of, and neither is the rattlesnake. If you know there might be a rattlesnake, always take a walking stick. But why, grandfather? Because if the snake gets too close, you can push him out of the way and know that you're not trying to harm him. And if you need to, you can. This is my 2 cents in the story. And if you need to, you can beat him over the head and say get away. But in that, the story is true in this much. There are rattlesnakes all over the place. Now you can say there are snakes in politics, there are snakes in this, or you can go anywhere you want to, and you'll find medical profession, bunch of snakes running around in there. But out in the spiritual realm, yes, there are. Hey, David Castle, how are you? Love you too, brother. Thank you so much for your participation, everyone's participation. But here's the trick, though. And from a shaman's point of view, you are aware that there could be a rattlesnake anywhere. A friend of mine who just lives a few miles down the road from me, his grandfather lived on this place, much as like I've lived on this place on most of my life now. He went outside one evening. He heard some chickens clucking and whatever, and a rattlesnake bit him, and he died in his own yard. Of course, now he's further even down in the woods than I am. But to the point though, he'd lived there all his life. He'd dealt with rattlesnakes before. He learned to be careful. But hey, I'm sorry, Michelle. How are you? Thank you. Um, he one not he didn't take his flashlight, didn't think about it, been to the chicken. I've done this myself, but the amount of rattlesnakes just they're not here anymore. But that's not my point. My point is that I'm always careful even in my own backyard. Now I do live on a swamp, and there are critters that come through. We've got a couple of male female combination possums eating out of the cat's tray right outside the window here. Better than eating my chickens and the chickens' eggs. But um, I've had my share of fights with critters and my chickens and eggs over the years. I've spoken about them in some of my videos, but here's the thing. I live on the edge of a swamp. I live on the edge of a woods. I'm aware that those things exist and can harm them. That's why I built a really good chicken pen. But over the years, they found a way in. Um, but and all of it's kept all the other critters out. But the thing is people say, well, I put chickens in the yard, and now they're gone. Well, duh, they're chicken hawks. There's all kinds of critters, wild dogs, wild this. I mean, even in neighborhoods and so forth down in Tallahassee. Now I haven't heard it recently, but a few years ago there were quite a few bear sightings in northern Tallahassee over towards the Apalachicola National Forest. And a lot of area, and bears in the neighborhood in Tallahassee, Florida. Yes. Black bears are not great big giant ones, but they can still, create a ruckus. And in some of the fancier neighborhoods, they did create a ruckus, knocking over garbage cans and things. But anyway, but the thing is that you must, if you're aware of your surroundings, if you're aware of what's coming, for example, our discussion tonight about the Schumann resonance, being aware that the Schumann resonance is the after effects of all these cosmic energies that are hitting the planet. Okay. It's not Mother Earth creating it. It's the response Mother Earth is creating it, but not on her own. It's the response from all of the cosmic energy, and it's radiating back out, and it's picked up as the Schumann resonance, named after the guy who discovered it, kind of thing. But to the point, though, here's the thing. You say, well, all right, Hawkeye, so what do you do? Well, if I'm going down in the swamp in my kayak, I go prepared. I take certain things every time. After almost drowning, my personal flotation device is always on when I'm in my kayak, unless I'm just tooling around by the shore. But if I'm going down the river, yeah, it's on me. And after I learned my little lesson, I didn't take my my little first aid kit with me one time. Ended up cutting my finger, blood all over the place. That goes with me every time now. And a couple of smaller items that go right in the back of the kayak, and they go with me. And if anything happens while I'm down on the river, several miles away from anywhere, and something happens, I'm prepared. So now, not everybody does that, but I've been down on the river, especially by myself. You go prepared. So what is this about the rattlesnakes in the energy field? There are things out there. Do you know what they are? Is there a rattlesnake everywhere? Do you have to oh my God, there might be a rattlesnake. There might. But what do you do is you're aware that they might. Not that there are and that you should be afraid of it. It's not about the fear. And a lot of people are being chewed up with fear right now for all the above reasons, the politics, the virus thingy, and all that kind of stuff. So, those folks who want to ruin us are trying to keep us in as much chaos and fear as possible. And so we need to stay out of that at all costs. Be aware. So when I go to the woods, are there snakes back there? Probably. Are there a lot of them? No. But do I walk around and don't pay attention? No. I'm always paying attention where I'm putting my feet. And most of the time I take a walking stick, both for my balance and things, but also in case I encounter anything along the way. I can use it as okay, snake, go the other direction or something, Exit stage right. Thank you very much. Is it your right? Or my right? Which stage? Anyway, hi project. Hi y'all. But so this being prepared in the mind is being aware that things could possibly exist. Doesn't mean that you should be fearful of them, but be aware. So the Schumann's acting a little. It was spiking earlier, and just before I came on with this, I checked it between Brian's show and now, and it's spiking a little bit, but not off the charts. But I got a one hell of a ringing in my ears at the moment, and a higher frequency in this one, a little bit lower one in this one. That's always a strange one. Hi Dominic, how are you? David, never null and void. I've lived in a void for a long time, but thank you. I appreciate the joke. I really do. Man, there's been so many null and void jokes my way as growing up as a kid. Man, oh man. But yeah, I appreciate them where they used to kind of tick me off. I really like a good null joke if somebody's got something. So thank you, Dominic. I really do appreciate it. Cheers. But in this realm, the rattlesnake thing, absolutely. Thank you, Dominic. Um, but absolutely. So it is about fear. It is the fear of the unknown. Do we know that? Do I know that there's a rattlesnake outside right now? No. I haven't seen a snake around in quite a while. I know there are oak snakes. One used to live in my house. I came in one day and there was a 6 foot um, 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 black king snake laid. I mean, right here in front of the window. It was cold outside, and it was laying in here, and I was like, "Holy!" I mean, it was huge. And I did some checking, and I probably had one of the largest king snakes because it was. I was holding it over my head, and about 5'11", and I was holding it up over my head, and its tail had this at least that much on the ground. It was a 7 footer, easy, and or 6.5. And 6 foot is like a large king snake, and there was one just right here in the house. Me and my existence. Now I don't expect everybody, to live like I do, and this and that and the other thing. But when I grew up in Florida, down in Tampa, there were snakes and things in the yard. I remember coming around the back of the house one time, and there was this huge king snake laying right across the step. I hit the first step, saw it, skipped one and hit the top step and turned around and jumped back off because I was scared. I had forward momentum. I don't know, about 12 years old. But I mean, snakes have been around for a long time, but I've pulled them out of my chicken pen. I've literally squashed eggs back out of their mouth as they were trying to swallow them. Big oak snakes, and I mean big oak snakes. But with that said, though, the thing is when I go out there to the chicken pen, I just don't reach my hand in there. I go around the corner and make sure there ain't somebody sitting in there trying to eat one of them, eat one of them eggs, because snakes can get into all kinds of little places. But the thing is, so it's my awareness. So am I scared to reach my hand in there with a snake? If it's one of those oak snakes, not really. They will strike at you. But the thing is I'm aware of them. I have educated myself over the many years and through my experience. But rattlesnakes, the idea of that of rattlesnakes in the energy field, I don't know if there's one in there or not. I don't know if it's just an oak snake. It could be a rattlesnake. Rattlesnakes eat eggs too. They gotta eat. So anytime I look in there, I don't assume, well, there's a snake. It must be an oak snake. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. No, because that could be a fatal mistake for me. A story that is absolutely true. I dreamed one. It was a Friday night, and I'd been over with my friend, and we were going fishing the next day, which we did. And I woke up in a cold sweat about this water moccasin. So he went down on the river prepared. He had his little pistol for shooting at water moccasins and stuff. And I had my axe and choppy thingy and whatever, and went down there to collect some logs out of some of the log jams down on the Ochlockonee River. Some beautiful stumps. Oh my God, we were doing landscapes or water gardens. Anyway, So this one we'd been eyeballing, and we were waiting for the water to get down enough. Took the canoe down, was all prepared. We're moving this stuff, and I was moving the sticks with the stick. Okay, so I would not reach my hand into the wood pile. And so I'm doing it real careful, and I'm looking real careful, and I'm looking real careful. And all of a sudden, for some dumb reason, I was going to reach for this other log as I had the stick like this. And there was a water moccasin whose head was bigger than my hand. And if it had struck, it would have hit me in the face and I'd be dead because we were way down in the swamp. There's no way I would have survived that. I screamed like a little girl, jumped 10 feet back into the river, almost tumped the canoe over. My friend is where? And I'm like, screaming. I didn't even know I could hit that high a note. And he's firing the gun. Not sure if we hit it. We saw that thing crawl off of that log and crawl and crawl. And its body was this big around. It's the biggest damn moccasin I have ever seen in my life. And it was within striking distance of my face. So when I talk about snakes and stuff, I've had my own experience with some of this stuff, and I was being careful, is my point. The spirits warned me, and I was like, if I had reached my hand any faster, I would have touched that bugger on the nose, where that stick was I was heading for. So anyway, snake stories, but they're true. I mean, I still I still sweat about that moccasin. But to the point about the energy thing, I still go down in the swamps, but I'm not petrified because I know there could be snakes down there. Am I a lot more careful around piles and stuff? Oh, you betcha. And will I ever just reach my hand in there? Oh, no. I use a paddle, or even in my kayak, I take a walking stick for poking around in things so I don't use my hand. Or pushing off from the shore. A walking stick comes in really handy in a kayak in the swamp. But anyway, but the idea, though, in the whole thing of this is to be prepared mentally. This coronavirus thing, what's the best thing to do? Stay healthy. If you're worried about it all the time, then your stomach's turning and, you're nervous and we're all going to die and be sick. No, stay out of that. Hey, Delaney. And Julianne, hi, how are you? In the Oz, the rainbow serpent in one of the AB origin, all cultures is called jargon. Interesting. Delaney says, I never liked snakes until I found out my Celtic zodiac is the adder snake. Yeah, adders are really interesting. Puffer ratters, that we've got a certain kind over here, and they look. I have not seen a cobra up it anywhere live, but they puff up like a cobra. If it's the same kind of adder type, they'll puff up and hiss at you. It is like, what? And they're the ones that I've seen down here, and I haven't seen one in a long time, but the ones that I have seen around here back in the day, man, they could scare the crap out of you. They'd puff up and do this thing. Okay, anyway. Um, ladder. Stay healthy, right, Project. Poking around, I don't find myself. I like my wooden cobra cane. I bet you. But anyway, but in the idea, I keep thinking of these native stories. For example, there's the famous snake story. Okay, but what a lot of people, they stop at a certain point. So I'm gonna retell this story real quick. It's a short one. A young brave was sent up the mountain as part of his test to be a man. And so he was to go to the top of the mountain and, and have a vision quest and come back down. So on the way up, when he gets to the snow line, there's a rattlesnake, and it's coiled there, and it's freezing. And the snake asks the young brave, help me, please. I'm freezing. Take me back down to where it's warmer. And the young brave said, but you're a rattlesnake. And the snake said, but please take me back down where it's warm. I promise not to bite you. And so the young brave thinks about it, and he's on the mountain, and it's a vision quest kind of thing, So he picks up the snake and he carries it back down the mountain to the warmer weather. And when he gets it down and starts to let the snake go, the snake bites him. And the brave little young brave says, "But why did you do that?" And the snake looks at him and he said, "Because I'm a rattlesnake." And that's the boy dies. Now that's where most people think the story ends. But this is the rest of the story. The young boy dies, but in his transformation, he is brought into the snake clan and he is transformed. Not only he's a snake during the daytime and he is a brave at night. So when most people think that, and he was like, "But why did you bite me?" And he said, "Because it was the only gift I could give you for saving my life." And the boy was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Because we have no arms, we have no gifts, but I wanted you to become part of our family." What? So he didn't bite him in spite. He bit him to make him a part of the family. Now, to those who are like, "Well, wait a minute now, but a snake and a this and a that, and a that." Not everything that something does is necessarily the bad thing. Now, I'm not suggesting you go get yourself bit by a rattlesnake. I'm not saying that. But in the grand scheme of things in the universe, so when you hear the story, people tell the story about the Indian brave and the and the rattlesnake, and they'll stop when the boy dies. And but the rest of the story to be in because of his bravery, because of his kindness, because of his compassion, he was brought into the snake clan as uh, a- as a prince, basically. So it's like, and you could kind of argue the point, well, that was pretty bad, wasn't it? Well, later on, the story goes on. So everybody, the boy hasn't come back. So, but he's allowed to be a brave at night. It's only during the daytime is he a snake. So he has met this princess, this young Indian maiden, down by a pool of water by the creek. And he spoke to her. And she goes, "But you're a snake." And he goes, "But you are so lovely. If you wish to see the true me, meet me here tonight after dark when the moon comes up." So she said, "But you're a snake." And he said, "And I can hear you. You're talking to me." And he said, "If you'd like to see who I truly am, come back." So the snake didn't try to bite her. It wasn't aggressive, and the snake slithered off. And she was curious. So, curiosity killed the cat, but she went back with a stick and not knowing what to expect. But there, sitting beside the water on the other side of the creek, was this handsome young brave. And so she was like, "But I came here to meet someone." And he said, "I'm here." And she didn't understand. So he didn't try to explain it. He said, they met each other. But then each evening, she would go down to the water and meet him. So after a while, she said, "Well, how come I haven't seen you during the daytime?" And he said, "You have." And she was like, "What do you mean?" "Well, do you remember the first time we met?" She's like, "What do you mean the first time? Remember the rattlesnake on when I spoke to you?" And she's like, "What? That was me. But how can this be?" And they'd spent all night talking, and then as the story goes, he had to go, she had to go, and he said, "Meet me here tomorrow, at noon, and I will come as my true, as my snake self." So she did. She came back the next day and sat by the pond, and sure enough, he showed up and spoke to her. And she said, "But I don't understand." And he said, "Meet me tonight, and I will explain the whole thing." So, after a couple of weeks or however long the story goes, she goes back and he sits her down and he says, "I am that young man. I am the brave that went up the mountain who never returned." And this is what happened to me. I did this for the snake. The snake bit me and I died, but I in my dying, I live in both worlds. But my daytime is as the snake with the snake clan because they're active mostly in the day. And at night I can be myself as a brave. And so she said, I want to marry you, but you're living in these both worlds. And he said, go and ask your father, go and ask your mother, go and ask the elders if I may come and state my case. And she did. So they agreed to allow him. She brought a basket one day, and the snake crawled into the basket. And she took it to the elders and opened the basket, and he popped his head out and spoke to the elders and said, this is me as part of the snake clan. And if I may have your permission, I'd like to come tonight while you have your dance and present myself as myself, as myself from the human. Anyway, so they did, and everybody in the tribe was so proud that they had finally the mystery was solved of what happened to the young brave, why he didn't come back, and also the fact that here he was a representative of the snake clan and also of the humans to the snake. So that they lived, they didn't go around killing all the snakes like white people do. Oh, there's a snake, kill it. No, no, no. There's respect even to those things. Hey, truth in me. So, but with that story, though, there's always a little bit more to the story than what a lot of people have heard or retold and things like that. It's part of the legends. And legends have a lot of basic to them. So, but whether he did actually transform, I don't know. But the idea, though, that to live in two worlds, but to be a positive role in both worlds, so he could tell the humans, look, quit killing the snakes. They're as scared of you as you are of them. They only bite because they don't try to sneak up on you and bite you. They usually bite you when they're coiled. And so there's all these things about the snake, blah, blah, blah. But to the point. So now, spiritually, there are vipers in the universe. There are things that folks want to go out there and astral project and everything. And they might see something that looks like a rattlesnake. And oh my God, it's going to bite me. And it could be poisonous. Don't get me wrong. But to the same point, though, sometimes the thing that's the ugliest is not necessarily the most dangerous. And if you're aware of these things, you won't kill yourself from panic and or fear, which kind of run together. If you're fearful, you're going to be panicky. But so how do you prepare? It's being aware. There could be. Not, oh my God, there could be a snake. Don't even go there. Anytime you go in the woods, I mean, there are snakes in residential areas, just like there are snakes in the deep woods. And in the last few trips in the woods, I ain't seen many snakes of any kind, not even the banded water snake, because people around here were mistaking it for a moccasin. And trust me, a banded water snake looks nothing like a water moccasin, but they kill them anyway. So, the banded water snake, which used to be very prominent around here, is in the event of extinction. They used to have rattlesnake roundups around here, and they have disbanded all that because there aren't any rattlesnakes anymore. They were killing all the gopher turtles, and oh my God! But anyway, but to the point. So yes, there are things out there. Hey, Millie Cow. Ween, right back at you, my friend. Michelle, Project Skyfalls, Truth in Me. Did I say hi to everybody? Julie Ann, it's really good to see y'all in here. Um, but with all, and my snake stories that happened to me are absolutely true. I hate to admit that one about the moccasin, but it really did happen. Scared the beat jeepers out of me, man. I'm telling you. But the idea, though, that did it teach me a lesson that I already knew? When you think you're being careful, be aware. Now, I had a little bit of a hangover to on my side, but that's still, one false move in the right place, and you could be history. So, but I don't panic over that kind of thing anymore. I had to overcome that fear. Trust me, I didn't want to touch another piece of wood in a swamp for a while. I was hesitant to touch anything. I went through about 2 weeks of like, I got to calm this down. But there are a lot of other things. I mean, I'm down in the swamp, and I was way down in the swamp, and there's a 8 9 foot alligator. Well, my kayak's only 10 foot, so the gator's as big as the kayak. But the thing is, did the gator bump the kayak? No. Did the gator try to do anything to me? No. It swam off. It ran like hell. So even gators, as big as 7 8 footers, 9 footers, that was my guess from how long it was sitting on what I saw on the beach. But I startled him and he startled me. I about jumped out of that kayak and I was like, no, stay in. You got a little bit of safety here. But, your first thing is like, holy shit, I came around a corner and there it was. Scared us both. That's how quiet I am in the swamp. But anyway, but the thing is though, that you don't panic. You don't panic. And yes, I was aware that there could be an alligator down there. They're there. But coming around the curve, it startled us both. But I'm always being aware. I'm always looking. So I was far enough away and I was blah, blah, blah. So I was prepared in that respect, like, holy crap, like that fish jumping in my kayak in the middle of the night that time. Scared the crap out of me for a couple of minutes because, like, but then once I realized what was going on, I was like, calm down. Everything's all right. But, I put myself into some pretty hairy, precarious positions. But we can do that spiritually. Okay. That's my reason for talking about this swamp stuff and everything. Every time I go, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm always prepared, or try to be. I might not have had my medical kit, but I had something to take care of the. I'm prepared mentally to use what I got. If I had to tear my shirt and this and make a tourniquet, I was still prepared, and got back and everything was okay. By the way, my finger is still numb after that accident. I hit the nerve and it's still numb after all these months. But anyway, be careful. But in the spiritual realm, so people are wondering, what are these energies doing? The first thing I do is like, okay, my energy feels like really weird. My ears are ringing off the band. I had a hard night sleeping and some really weird ass dreams. Oh my God. Oh my God. A couple of years ago, what's going on? I better take my pills. I'm going crazy. Maybe not. First thing we need to do is just settle ourselves back down to our core self. Make sure that the camp counselor is in charge of the little group in your head, and make sure that you gotta go. All right, Julianne, Boy Scout motto, absolutely. Trust me, I think it is natural for us to feel fear of animals with sharp teeth. Absolutely. I mean, possums don't necessarily attack you, but I ain't going to go out there and pick the sucker up. And I was reading online about them. It was like, possums make the perfect pets. Have you seen a possum up close? Then might as well take a wharf rat. They're ugly SOBs. I'm sorry. Oh, they make beautiful pets. Okay, but there are people who have pigs in their house. So, you know, just saying, everybody's got their own little. Personally, I used to have ferrets, and of all the little critters that and dogs and cats, there are cats outside, and I've had several dogs over the years. But yeah, night, Julie. To each their own, absolutely. But ferrets were the most fun to run around. I miss my little Rocky the ferret that I had. Somebody had him, didn't take care of him, wanted to know if I wanted him, and I said sure. And I had little Rocky the ferret. He used to climb my stairs and run all around. It was great. Even had a flying squirrel one time. that it was really small and we raised it. And then it got out one day. And I mean, within 2 minutes, the, it was scared, got out of the house. I mean, it literally used to fly. It was so cool. Um, but anyway, so you learn a lot about animals, but in with animals, I've learned a lot about spirituality because every critter's got their own, the Native Americans call them four-leggeds, but a squirrel, it's got four leggeds, but not necessarily a four-legged like a dog or a cow or, anyway. But with that said, though, of all the things we do is we say, okay, there could be rattlesnakes out there. I'm going to take my walking stick. So as long as you're prepared and mentally prepared, it's okay to get scared and panicked when you're frightened. But the key is to, and maybe that's why I do all these crazy things. It's so that I'm not looking for weird crap to happen to me. I just happen to be there when it does. But it's to maybe teach me to, hey, whoa, 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 okay, calm down, you know, to not overreact to certain things. So if you put that in your mind, now self hypnosis has worked for me in a lot of ways over the years to keep myself from being panicky. When I first got off all my meds and stuff, I did a lot of deep meditation and a lot of self hypnosis to calm myself down. I went through 3 months of withdrawal from phenobarbital after 17 years of being on phenobarbital, and that's as bad, worse as kicking morphine or crack, from what other people have told me. So I've had my share of that too. But the thing is that keeps us all is that I'm going to get through this. Whatever it is, I'm going to get through this. And you mentally you say, I'm going to get through this. Body, I want my body to heal. I want my brain to heal. So you prepare yourself ahead of time by giving yourself the self-assurance and the confidence that you'll take care of any situation. That's how you prepare. You say, well, Hawkeye, that could sounds a little easy. It's not really. It takes practice. But awareness of your situation, human residence, magnetosphere, doesn't matter. Should you be afraid of it? No. Should be, oh my God, all this stuff, it's going to happen to us anyway. But if you are aware that, today was an active day, or maybe you wake up and go, well, I don't have time to check, but I'm feeling a little antsy. First thing you should do is go, maybe there's some cosmic energy coming in, and I just need to ride this out. That's what I do now. Because today it was like, so there were certain things, and at the other side of the coin, I was like awake, but then knocked out. Weird combination. But as I noticed the human, I was like, well, I feel a little antsy today, and there ain't got a reason in the world for feeling that way. Okay, a little bit of whatever. Is it the human, or well, no, the human's showing me that we've had cosmic energy around us, and the human is showing the results of that. So maybe it is affecting me. Maybe that's why I feel a little off today, one way or the other, either way high and, just full moon crazy, or way low to where you want to be depressed. If you find yourself in the doldrums, just remember, if it's a low energy period, write it out. Don't go freaking out and go, oh my God, my energy's low. And oh my God, I feel like crap. You'll be okay, Spunky. Give it a day or so and you'll come back out of it. Just just find something to raise your energy. Don't panic. Don't blame it on with this or that but be aware there are things we cannot see. The human is just one way of measuring these things that are happening to the entire planet. So yes, as many Native American shamans have said in the past about certain things, if you question something and you're afraid of it, then turn it into a positive. In that, for example, the chemtrail clouds, right? They said years ago, they say, I look up there and I curse them. Well, then all you're doing is sending negative energy up there. But instead, and I've heard this from several different sources, shaman folk, and they were all saying, we all agree, medicine men, shaman, Indian folk, we all agree now, instead of cursing them, we're going to say, you know what? Before that hits the ground, Creator's going to fix it. It's good. It's going to end up being good. What do you mean? They're chemtrails. Yeah, but we're going to change it as it falls. Hmm. So there are times when I'm, God damn son of a, but I have to shut that off right away and say, I pray that those chemtrails, before they hit the ground, will turn and do something good, you know? Because cursing it doesn't do any good, does it? It only sends negative energy out there into that field, into the energy field. And we kind of sort of, when we react negatively to things, we're kind of sort of creating our own little rattlesnakes because of it. Because we're sending fear back out there instead of, you know, crap, it's another cloudy day. Well, yeah, so, I can go outside and not worry about getting my sun blistered in 10 minutes because of the radiation. Okay, well, maybe the clouds are here for a good reason. Right? Well, I can't see the stars. I missed the moon, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, bitch, 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 bitch. This is me, bitch, 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 bitch. And it doesn't do a bit of good. And go, well, it must be cloudy for a reason. Okay, well, is it chemtrails? Is it this? Well, there are people who live their life to complain about chemtrails. Think about the negative energy all them folks are doing. Oh, look at the chemtrails today. Look at this one. Look at that one. That's so dimensions. You know what I mean? Um, I think by now we all are aware of them. And I think by now cursing it doesn't do a bit of good. So all them folk out there who are shaking their fist, why don't you send a prayer up to them chemtrails and go, hey, change it. There are enough of us, I think, we could probably, we might be able to manage that. Who knows? But if we curse it all the time, we're cursing ourselves. It's just going to bounce back right back on the planet. And Mother Earth has got enough problems without us cursing the skies and having all this stuff reverberating back in. You know what I mean? So, but yes, it is about frequency. Yes, it is about energy. And yes, we're on a roller coaster ride for at some points, one could say the roller coaster ride from hell, because there's some of the stuff that's been going on since 2013 for me, that it's just like, I just never dreamed these kind of energy fluctuations and stuff. And whoa. But I also realized that back when I was having issues as a younger man and wondering why I felt certain ways, now I was hungover and doing drugs. And so it was a little difficult to pinpoint. But I often wonder, was I picking up on some of that stuff 20 years ago when I was an alcoholic and an addict? Well, actually 30 years ago, 20 years ago now. Crap, I wasn't an addict, um, but I was on medicine from the doctor, and in that respect, I was an addict. But having kicked all that, I realized though that, wait a minute, now what's happening to me now? It's not any kind of drug related, so it's got to be an outside source. I'm not depressed about anything because I faced all my own fears. I cleaned my own closet. There's still a couple of corners that with a cobweb or two, but all the major stuff dealt with. Went through a lot of pain to deal with them. Made sure I took care of them. So there's nothing bothering me anymore. Dealt with it all. So what's bothering me? Let me look to the outside. Oh, look at the magnetosphere. Look at the Schumann. Look at all this. If Mother Earth is doing it, you know damn well and good you and me are doing it. Just saying. So, but it's all my years of being able to reflect back and go, crap, remember that time? Yeah. Wished I had known about the Schumann then, because then I would have checked it. Why am I bringing this up now? Because that's our awareness. We have this technology to see these things now. So instead of going bat crap cray cray right away, we go, hang on, let's just make sure it's not one of them off days for the whole planet. Maybe we're all in a stressful mood or in a slump, depending. So, but what that's our awareness of, maybe there's another consequence. Maybe it ain't just me. Maybe, oh, and maybe then you can turn off some of the fear and the panic and you can keep it under control. It goes a long way because instead of going into the desert or the woods or the swamp, afraid of a snake that may bite you if there's one, same thing in this world. Just be aware. Just be aware. There are rabid animals in cities, I mean, I wouldn't live in New York City if you paid me and gave me no way. I mean, I'd I'd go out in the swamp 100 times before I'd spend a week in New York. I mean, I've always wanted to, but I mean, as far as, where's the favorite place you want to go? It ain't New York City, it ain't even Atlanta, although, that's closer and I've been to Atlanta several times, but ain't nothing and I'm more scared of them. I walking down the street and I mean, I went to Tallahassee and got mugged one time and they put me in the hospital. I lost my job, damn near lost my house. And, and I was downtown Tallahassee, Florida. It was after hours and the bars were closing was the reason we were leaving. I wasn't even driving. And some big ass guy came up and punched me. I still got a scar on my nose from I saw this big ass ring come through the window and scratch my nose, make me bleed. My head swelled up. And there was another brain injury, kind of thing. Put me in the hospital from the concussion. I got a glass jaw, as it were. But to the point, I didn't ask that. What? We were just leaving the bar and heading home. Stopped at a traffic light, and so crap happens. But people say, well, aren't you scared to go in the woods alone? I'm scared to go to Tallahassee in my car with the window rolled down. Okay. What are you afraid of? I've already had my ass beat up and, damn near killed from this. And I was minding my own business. I can go out in the woods and I'm not scared. I'm careful and I'm wary, but shit, I'm scared to death. Oh, hey, let's go to Tallahassee. I don't know. Go ahead. I'll go with the daylight. But anyway, but the idea though that, what is fearful and, who's more safe than the next person? Many towns, I'm not afraid to go into a town. Don't get me wrong. But from the idea of what am I most fearful of? Tallahassee versus the swamp. I'd much rather put up with a moccasin than some great big guy that tried to beat the crap out. Well, he did beat the crap out of me, but anyway. And never caught him, never got anything from it. Probably still owe a hospital bill from that because, that kind of stuff isn't free. But anyway. So how do you prepare? Prepare up here. Do mental exercises. Understand that there are so many different things in the universe. What's ugly may not be the bad thing. What's nice and pretty and, ooh, here I am, and you want to go over and hug it, that's when it goes and gobbles you up. So be careful, There are certain stories about gargoyles. Now, there are a lot of stuff about gargoyles, but one of the stories, just saying, was that there are a lot of them on the old churches over in Europe, right? And Russia and places like that over there. And there are some here on New York City and some of the churches and things. Now, why would they have a gargoyle that's supposed to, if it's a demon thing, why is it sitting up there? Well, it wasn't necessarily. Now, this is just one of the stories. That they were actually to scare things away, not necessarily good things. but they just happen to be ugly looking critters. Now, I don't know, but it's kind of interesting that maybe there is a minute amount of truth in that. Don't know. Anyway, just thought I'd toss it out there. So what you look at may be a protector. You never know. I was sitting here watching this lizard, yeah, say that 3 times in a row. Lizard, this little camellia lizard that jumped off of the window onto the chair today. And at first I'm like, crap, what was that? And I went, oh, it's my lizard friend. Hey, buddy. Goes down the chair and up the window and around inside the house, and it's like, good to see you. Inside the house, if he was outside, the cats would eat him. And I really like my little lizard friends, around the plants, and they keep bugs off and stuff. And it's part of nature. And I consider it a blessing that I've got resident toads over here by the back door that go slip under the door, and I've got those lizards that crawl around the windows and in the plants and stuff here in the house. And it's just like nature all around. And I thank them for coming and staying with me, that they're comfortable, they feel comfortable enough to be in the house. So not like, oh my God, there's a human that's gonna kill me. No, not that way. So I consider it a blessing, that these little critters come and, hang out with me here, and have for many, many, many years. So yes, I have a different take on things. Absolutely. I'm a little nuts. um, Truth of Me says, correction, researching ideas of adding cancers to cut off the bad cancers. Talk about no, thank you. Oh, exactly. I agree with that. Interesting. David says, I used to have a chameleon, a Jackson chameleon, and 2 veiled chameleons. Very interesting little guys. Yeah, I had some friends of mine that had several different kinds of lizards. I can't name them, but just the little lizards here. And I mean, I got a 7.5 foot oak snake that lives around here. Usually resides over the commode room back here in the back. There's a spot, he crawls up in there. I don't care. He's living in the wall, been there for years. And it's like keeps the rats out of the house and the mice. And I'd much rather have a great big giant snake that won't eat my rice and get into the rice-a-roni and stuff like that, and take care of those kinds of things. And it's a beautiful snake. Oh my God. It's huge. It looks like a boa constrictor. I mean, it's huge. A 7 foot long oak snake is a big snake. And somewhere I got some video of that I took of it going. I followed it across the yard and back here in the back behind the chicken pen, and I got some close-ups. And it's longer than my arms I can spread, which is 6 feet. And so, but anyway. And some people say, well, what do you mean you got reptiles around? Doesn't that mean there's evil around you? Post a pic on Facebook. You mean of the snake? Yeah, if I can find a still of it. I think I took some stills of it. Took a little video of it. It's not a very long clip, but I've had 3 different computers since then, and I'm not sure where it is. But if I find it, I'm going to post it because it's a really big snake. But I love it. Here's the thing, though. It crawled right across my foot when it was going towards the woods, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Now, to Native Americans, there are some folks that would go, "Oh my God, that snake! That you must have evil around you." Well, I got owls in the backyard that hoot a lot of times and send me messages. Well, you have owl magic. That's you're dealing in the shadows, and you've got reptiles. Hey, wait a minute! Did y'all remember that story about the snake and the brave? Well, what about it? Well, I feel myself sort of an emissary. So if they're comfortable enough to live around here, I'm comfortable. I'm going to be comfortable enough to allow them. If they're not trying to bite me, hurt me, or whatever, I'm trying to live with nature. So if the snake lives here, I'm already here. Now the ones that eat my chickens, they went They're gone. They're gone. They're gone. The ones that ate my eggs, they were gone. But I didn't destroy them. I just took them away from here, and a couple of them, I swear, making it back. But anyway, um, they travel very fast. You think they don't go real quick, buddy? Try to keep up with one if it's trying to get away from you. Yeah, you won't catch it. They're quick. But anyway, my friends, it's been almost an hour, and I love you. I do, Delaney. Yep, I love symbiotic relationships. Yep. And it's, but trust me, I didn't get like this overnight. It's taken me a lot of years. Like, oh my God, there's a snake in the house. Calm down, will you? I've had these own conversations with myself, but it's also taught me a lot about spirituality and, our harmony with things. And if your energy's in the right way, all kinds of animals will hang out with you, kind of thing. And so, in trying to change my own energy so that I won't be offensive to the world. If animals are attracted or are comfortable, I consider that a good sign. People say, well, you deal with snakes in it. I'm not a snake handler. I just let them be, unless they're eating my chickens and eggs. And if it was a rattlesnake that tried to bite me, I wouldn't have killed it, but I damn sure would move it way away from any people, and I would relocate it. A couple miles down the road and into the swamp chunk, and there ain't nobody down there. But I haven't seen a rattlesnake in years around here. People, if they found a rattlesnake, would kill it. I killed a rattlesnake in the backyard one time that was 7.5 foot long. I mean, it had a bunch of rattlers on it that was like this. And in the old days, people used to hang the rattlesnakes on the fence or the postman didn't like it, but some folks, if they didn't have a fence, would hang it on their mailbox. So got mailman's coming along, and all of a sudden here's this snake, draped over this mailbox. But that was to let everybody in the neighborhood know that they had killed this snake. There was a snake this big in the neighborhood. And trust me, for us way back in the day when I first moved down here, there were snake hides on fences and mailboxes all over the place. That's the reason why that guy walked out of his house and got bit by a rattlesnake and died. But he was in his 80s. But to the point, regardless of his age, it would have been hard for him to get to the hospital in time because where we live, it'd take you 20 minutes to get to the hospital. If I jumped in the car and just went right now, and 20 minutes could be a long time, especially with a snake bite in the right place. But anyway, but there's nothing to be afraid of, but there's a lot to be careful about. And that's not the same thing. So, my friends, I love you all. David, Delaney, Project, Jin Shilu, Tooth and Me. I have a snake and crows around the place. Yeah. Greetings, Jen. How are you? I get these little picture images, from creator or whatever, my higher self, I consider it my spirit guide. And I get these little pictures that there are people who are just really terrified right now on levels that they may not have been terrified before. And so in this allegory, whatever ish, with the idea of the rattlesnake in the energy field, I think that the message that it seems like they're pounding me in the head right now is that, there are so many people just so terrified. I mean, there's still folks that are, the Anunnaki, okay, haven't a lot of us covered that already? But there are still people learning now. You got to give them credit. But there are some people who won't let up with it. After 6 or 7 years, it's still the Anunnaki. It's like, the Democrats bitching about it's the Russians did it, pick one, I glance at the headlines because I know what they're going to say, and some of the lies and stuff just really ticks me off. It's like anybody who votes for that idiot Bloomberg deserves what they get, but hopefully it ain't me that gets it. But anyway, because I ain't voting for him, And Biden, do you all not remember his vice presidency and oh please, and what his son did and brother-in-law, what they did over there in the Ukraine? They started that flipping war, and what? And people want to vote for him for president? He was a lousy VP. He should be in jail right now. And him and his son and most of his family. And people want to elect him president? Oh, please. Nobody's doing their homework. And all this has been in the news for a long time. I watched it in the news when it happened, when Biden went over there, his son went over there, and they did this deal with this energy company. And I went, something's fishy. And war broke out, and this happened, and that happened. Oh, but now you want to vote him for there's nobody any better. And Bernie, oh, that two-faced SOB. I voted for him last time in the preliminary thingies, but now I'm telling everybody, don't you dare, that two-faced SOB. When you look at his Senate record, he ain't got shit done. He's bitched a lot, him and his little Jewish self. I got a lot of Jewish friends, so don't pick on me about that. But he's like, I want to use it for my benefit. You listen to me. I'll take care of you. I'll give everybody health care. I will. I'll show you how it's done. Now he does have some good ideas. But here's the thing. He has always been an independent. Nobody has agreed with him. All the bills he's put forward, there's empty chambers. Nobody has listened to Bernie ever. And we're going to all of a sudden they're going to listen to him now, the Congress, the Senate? Are you serious? We're going to make him. And now that's just look at his record, look at what's transpired. What's Bernie been doing for the last year and a half? Running for president. Don't you think the people of his home state would be a little pissed off? Like, Bernie, what are you doing for us? Well, I'm running for president because all the people love me, the grassroots people. Oh, stop it, please. But anyway, all of that, though, is creating chaos in people. A lot of other folks are just going crazy over some of this stuff. And it's like, look at their records. Go back and read some of those articles and stuff. It's all true. This isn't some conspiracy thing. Joe Biden and his son were in a crappy deal. And a lot of people got murdered, killed, and otherwise an uprising started over it. And what? And you bitch about Trump? Wait a minute. Hang on. Back at the bus. But okie dokie. I haven't seen where there's been, in my humble opinion, I'm going to get off of politics here, but in my humble opinion, I haven't seen enough bad stuff for me to want to vote against Trump. There's too many good things that have happened, too many good things that I've seen and have witnessed myself, not without anybody else telling me or their point of view. I did my own research to say that, do I want to, get rid of him after just 4 years? And my answer is no. I wanted to see what he can finish. Whether you go into the conspiracy stuff or not, some of the things that he's worked on, some of the things with human trafficking, some of the stuff with this and that, some of the things with bringing jobs back to America. China shuts down. We're getting all this product from China. Okay, so now all of a sudden we don't get the product from China. Don't you think Trump may have been warning us from the day before he was elected? Bring back jobs to America. Why? Because Americans need to make stuff for Americans. Let us ship them across the rest of the place. I'm sorry, we have to pay. We can't make things for $1 here. If you make it correctly, so we pay $2 for it. But remember the day Sam Walton Made in America? Who gives a crap anymore? The only thing that's made in America anymore is a hamburger, and that's questionable. But so the idea, though, that Trump is like wanting to bring back jobs to America, there's a bunch of reasons he wants to bring it back. Should we be making semiconductors overseas? If I want to buy resistors or transistors or whatever, I have to order them from overseas. It takes a month. What? Because they don't make them here. And if they don't have in stock what you need, they have to order them. Now, if people who are making electronics, it's like, why do I have to wait 3, 4 weeks? Well, because it has to come from China. Why? Because Motorola, we used to make that stuff here. Cheaper labor, people lost their jobs in America and they moved it overseas. So I just got to say, look at the facts before you get panicked. Well, all these people want to blame Trump for the coronavirus. That's just stupid to me. The lady from the CDC said we got it under control as much as possible. And they do. I think it should have spread faster. It hasn't. Y'all calm down. It could have been really a lot worse really fast. And they kind of have nipped a lot of it in the bud. Are there a few people? Yeah. There are 300 million of us here in the United States. And the fact that there's only a tiny percentage of people that have it, be careful what you wish for. So, my friends, be kind, be sweet. If everybody's attacking one guy, then I'm rooting for that guy. Thank you, David. Younger people are just listening to him because he promises them to give them free stuff, free college, free health care. Nothing is free. Now, I do agree with this about Bernie. There are certain things that are overspent in government that if the correct modifications were made to the government, which ain't going to happen, like, for example, all the stock trading, there's no, the money that exchanged, there's no fee. So one of the things he proposed, and I'm kind of with him on this one, if you just charge 2 cents or a nickel or a dime for every sales transaction online with stock, a nickel or a dime is tax. Now you say, well, what do you mean? Well, there's sales tax on every damn thing. You can't go to a store and buy something without paying some kind of tax. So why not tax, quote, the rich people with their transactions? So these people who are making all these transactions all the time, a dime here, a dime there, do you know how much money that would be? In the long run, it could pay for college. Just saying. That's not such a harebrained scheme in and of itself. Now, to bring it about and all the power people, could he ever get it done? I doubt it. But it's not a bad idea. There are things out there, and tax the rich. Well, okay. Why don't they just pay their fair share? For example, people who make $1 million don't pay the same amount of Social Security tax that you and me do. What? Yeah, they get a break. What? I'm sorry. I don't care how much money you make. If you make $10 million, you pay the same damn percentage as the rest of us poor folk. How about just leveling the field? I don't care if they pay extra. Let them they're not paying their fair share, period. Why don't we just make them pay their fair share? Well, I made $10 million. If I gave 10%, well, that's $1 million. Yeah, but you got 9 million left. Oh, woe is me. I can't live on $9 million. You know what I mean? And okie dokie. But could we level the playing field? There's a lot of stuff. If they just owned up and paid their own fair share, they don't have to pay any extra, but to them it would be extra. To the rest of us, we could have free health care. That's true. If the rich paid their fair share. But what you gonna do? The rich people are the ones running for office. Wonder who's going to win that one. Anyway, simulator. They all belong to the same idealism. Yeah. Thank you, David Castle. Joe Biden can't keep his hand. Oh, and the little girly thing. Oh, there's been a couple of times. There were some preverts that lived around there, the ones dead. And I actually had my hands around his throat. And I said, if I ever see you around any child again, I will kill you myself, take your body to the swamp, and they will never find you or learn what happened to you. Thank God he died before I could do it or had to do it. But I've never wanted to kill anybody so much in my life as this old man. And a girl disappeared, and she was last seen with him, and they never found her body. But she was riding around with him a lot there for a while, and then all of a sudden just disappeared. And I always suspected that old man of doing something with that girl, but I can't prove it, But when I saw him with other children and stuff, I told him, I said, I will kill you myself. I mean, I had my hands around his throat. I was ready. I was that close. I could have killed him on the spot and drove on to work and nobody would have known. But, you know, I'd have to live with that the rest of my life, and I'll just live with the memory that thank God he's dead now, and I didn't have anything to do with it, except maybe wishing he was dead. But anyway, so be prepared, my friends. That's the long term lesson of this thing. And yes, Michelle, I do have a butt cramp. I've moved and I got a thing. I've been sitting here for the last 2.5 hours. I'm not complaining, but I do need to get up and move around and get something else to drink. And thank you, Bob, out there. Coffee break. Wean everybody. If you know somebody that may be having issues, just be kind with them and say, calm down. It maybe some of these crazy energies we're getting. They might not understand what you're exactly talking about, and you may not have to go into explaining about the Schumann resonance, but just say, well, the whole planet's been getting this cosmic energy, and there have been people all over the place just feeling weird lately. So, maybe just calm down. It could be that versus, oh my God, my life is, give them another thought. So thank you, my friends. Love and prayers always. Cheers to everyone. Dante had turned his channel back on, to those of you who know what I mean. And it's been an honor to have been on his channel. I don't know if he put my video back up on his channel or not, but I know there have been many people that have come from Dante's channel over here. And the Silent 72 Plus, to all of the Christus, to all of those angels above us and around us who are doing wonderful things to trying to help you and me to keep the bad guys from winning. And if you don't believe in angels, well, okay. But if you can believe in higher powers, and if you can believe in the goodness in the universe, I've seen some of the angels. I've seen some of the space wars. I've seen the UFO down here that Breaking Dawn. Well, we're going to figure out how to get that video up, by the way. But the UFOs that we've seen and things that I reported on. I wish I had a picture for everything, but I've shown you pictures of the orbs and of the fairies and things that showed up in the pictures that I've taken. And other strange things in the smoke and in the fire of that one time I was on the beach. That was just really strange. But with all of that said, there are energies all around us. There are things we cannot see, but not all of them are rattlesnakes. And even if it is a rattlesnake, if you're aware that it is a rattlesnake, then you can be safe. I've been in the woods and damn near stepped on all kinds of stuff. But it's that, whoops, almost stepped on you there. Let me back up here. Being careful. So in this world of craziness, be aware. The rattlesnakes always rattle. And if you listen to yourself and to your gut, that rattle might be that warning sign. Wait a minute. My gut's telling me I shouldn't do that. Could be the warning from the universe. So, my friends, David, always a pleasure. Truth in me. I'm still looking forward to that song. Yes, I have been working on it, but I've been doing fires and putting trailers together, and song has not been on my thing, but it's supposed to rain for the next tomorrow and the next day, so I might be in the house. But anyway, always listen to your FUT. Yeah, I know. F is right beside the gut. I love it. Thank you, Michelle. I feel truth in me says I feel grateful for all the people working hard and trying to fight this oddness. And that's each one of us. You know what I mean? Always listen to your gut. Yeah. Uh, yes, intuition. Years ago, and I've talked about it before, but it's a really good. It was like a Chinese proverb, and it was like, if and they were talking about business deals, and I learned it when I was in engineering. They had Toyota came in. They had these Japanese come in, and oh, very nice, come let us speak to you, and and they were talking about Chinese proverb, you know, and okay, there's a lot to be said about Chinese proverbs, but if you wish to make deal, eat it first. If you have a problem, eat it, and if it gives you indigestion, then don't do it. So, and in life, it's so true. If something's wrong, you're going to get it's an upset stomach. So, the idea is you eat your problem, sleep on it, and if you wake up the next morning with a stomach ache, there's your answer, or not always, but most of the time, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, follow that gut. It very rarely lies. But now I have had gut feelings that started out well, but they ended up like crap. That's a separate issue. But anyway, so my friends, ancient Chinese secret. Yep. Yeah, the Tings had a son, and and he kind of walked sideways when he was a little baby, so they named him some Ting Wong. Yeah, never mind, bad joke, and I got it wrong anyway. I closed with a prayer and a lousy joke. Okay, badly told. um, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the gifts, the healing, the love, and the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations will learn to accept and receive the healings, the blessings, and the knowledge from the universe. And I continue to pray as a law of three. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive and continue to share your knowledge and your wisdom and what you have learned in life. That's what makes us all strong together. Thank you very much. And I swear I'm working on two songs. That old saying, David says, that old saying, not worth my time or energy, it has more than one meaning as well. If something makes you angry or scared from watching it, then stop putting your energy and time into it and manifesting it. Absolutely, David. There are a lot of people who go down rabbit holes, and I'm guilty of it. We've talked about this, but they go down the rabbit hole so far they can't get back out, and they live in the fear and the thing. Been there, but the thing is that now, I just look for the rabbit holes so I don't fall in them, but not necessarily go down them like I used to. So anyway, with that, my friends, TTFN from South Georgia, where the water is high but not knee deep, it's still in the ankle stages, but we're expecting rain and flash floods. We'll see. Be kind to yourself and everyone you know, and cosmic hugs from here. Till next time.